So welcome to this video tutorial series where I'm going to show you how to use the online fundraising website for registering to be a participant of a Hike for Hospice Palliative Care, or how to donate to a participant or team for Hike for Hospice Palliative Care. So the first thing that I'm going to show you is how to use the site from the perspective of your hikers, so your registrants themselves. So what they're going to see when they first come onto the site is these four great big buttons right here. So there are three different ways in which someone can register. They can register as an individual, they can register to form a team and be a team captain, or they can register to join a team. So depending on what it is that they want to be, they would choose one of these three options. So I'm just going to click into each one of these to show you the difference between the three pieces of information that would be collected. So if someone wanted to register as a team captain, so they wanted to be the person who created the team, they would click this button here to form a team. From there, they would need to give their team a team name, so that could be whatever they want it to be. And they could do a team fundraising goal, so they can make this whatever they want it to be. They can put in a password, which is definitely optional. Some people like to have a password and some don't. The password prevents others who don't have that password from joining that site. So it's only something that that people put in if they want it. They don't need it, but lots of people do choose to have it. This team company feature is a nice feature where an individual can select or enter in the company that they're hiking with. Maybe you have a local company that's sending out a lot of different participants and supporting your hike, and you want to have an option for them to put in what company it is that they're participating with. It helps to drive a little bit of friendly rivalry amongst the participants, and just to keep that as something that you can pull in statistics and reports and whatnot. It's just kind of a nice feature to use. If you want to know how to set up those companies, you can review the video on how to manage your online fundraising website. So in terms of learning how to input those companies so that this list is populated, that's where you would find that information. So once they select their team name and whatnot, they would click next step. I'm not going to do that just because when we go to join up as an individual, this step will already be what this next step would be. So I'll show you what it looks like for the first step for each of these sites, and then I'll show you where everything becomes the same. So just to know that that if I was to hit next step, it would go into the same as if I was registering for an individual. So another thing that users can do too here, just to point out before we move off of this area, is that they can bring a team back from a past year. So to do that, they would need to be signed in, and this would be able to allow them to bring their team forward from a previous year. When signing in to bring the team back, after you sign in, the user would get this message here, where all they would need to do is just click this big button that would say bring back whatever their team name happens to be. So from that point, they would just click on that, and they could transition into the next steps. So I'm back at the main page now, and the next thing that I'm going to show you is how your users would join a team. So to join a team, they would just scroll down, they would select the button to join a team, and from here they're going to do a search for a team. So in this case, they could type in what they knew about the team. So I'm going to say that this individual is going to want to join Amanda and Friends team, because we just saw that Amanda reestablished her account. She brought back her hike count. So we're going to do this search for a team, and we're going to see that Amanda and Friends team has come up in the search field, and we're just going to hit join. So from there, we're going to transition into the next step. So that's really the basic way that you would join a team. If I didn't want to do it that way, I could do it another way, which is to actually go down here and do a search for a team here without clicking the join a team. And I could just type in Amanda's team right there, or what I knew of the team, and I could do that search. So it's going to come up here. I can see that that Amanda and Friends team is right there. I can click on it, and I can actually click here and go join team. So I'm just going to go back to the home page because we don't necessarily need to do that next step. So I will. So there's one more way that that your participants could join someone's team, and that's by actually doing a search for a person. So say one of your hikers knows that they want to join a team of their friend. So they would just come in and they would look for this participant. So in the search participants, they would type their friend's name. So in this case, we will look up Amanda again. We'll hit the search button. And we can see that Amanda has come up in this search function. We'll click on her name, and then we have the option to go back here and join Amanda's team again. So so those are the different ways in which someone can join a team. And the next step I will show you is how to join as an individual. So if someone wants to come in and they don't want to be a part of your team, or they don't want to form a team, they can join as an individual. So that would be this button right here. They would just click this, and they would be rerouted to this page here. So this page is going to look a little bit different depending on your site, because these are your participation types. So you may have different participation types than what you see here, and they may be ordered different, all that kind of stuff. So it really is depending on what your site specifies. However, it all functions the same, and it all largely looks the same. So in this case, this page here is the second step for when you either join or form a team. So every registrant, whether they are a team captain or a team member, also does this step. So it's basically what's the first step to becoming an individual is the second step to becoming a team captain or a team member. So from here on forward, the process is the same for all of the different ways of registering to be a hiker, and I'll just go through the steps as if we were just being an individual for all of us. But just to know that if I was signing up as a team member, I would end up with a team page and whatnot. So anyway, in this case, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to register as an individual. So I would select whatever participation type I wanted to be. So in this case, I'm just going to select that I'm a hiker. I could enter in that I want my fundraising goal to be higher. If you use a discount code, this is where I would put that. So if I was a staff member, for example, and you gave a discount code to your staff members, you could put that in there. If I wanted to make an additional gift to myself at this particular point, I could. So this is a donation that would go onto my page. I can do it right here at this time. I'm not going to at this point, but just to know that you could. You can also make this an anonymous gift if you are making an additional gift, but you don't want it to show up on your site that you made a gift to yourself. But by making it anonymous, it increases your goal, but it doesn't show that you're the one that made the donation. Or you can elect that you do want to display the amount of your donation publicly, which is fine. And you can also associate your participation with a company as well. So that's the same as what we saw with your team. So maybe your team is a company and your company, but it's an optional piece. You don't have to fill it out if you don't want to. So the next step is to route over to this page where you choose whether you're joining up as a new participant or a returning participant. So if you're a returning participant, you would just sign in using your last year's username and password. But if you're joining as a new participant, you just click this button here and you're routed into your registration form. So we'll just take a quick second to fill this in, and we'll just make sort of a pretend registration. I'm not going to fill out all of this information just in the interest of time, but we could do that if we did if we were actually making a real registration. So I'm going to leave these checked because I would like to receive emails, and I would like to make sure that I'm emailed when gifts come in on my behalf. I want to get these different things. I need to make a username and a password. So in this case, I'm going to do coach just to make a generic username, and I'm going to give myself a password. From there, I'm going to fill out my questions here, which may be different depending on your site. You can add and remove questions depending on what your specifications are. And when you're finished there, you can just click Next Step. From there, you can go, or your users have to go through reading and signing the waivers, so they just have to agree to the terms and conditions. And when this is done, they can go Next Step. Now, at this point, if they had elected to make an extra donation, or if your site had a registration fee, this is where the credit card information would be inputted and processed. But in this case, we haven't put that in, so it's not going to have that particular step. The last step to finishing the registration is actually clicking here on this complete registration button, and you can now see that your registration is finished. So at this particular point, you want to direct your users to access their participant center. So the participant center is where they're going to manage all of the pieces of their hike. So I'm going to click on this, and we'll go over the participant center so that you guys can know what it is that your hikers are expected or able to do in that piece of the website. So when you log into your participant center, this is the first thing that you're going to see is the home page. So there's 4 tabs. If you were part of a team or if you were a team captain, you would also see a 5th tab here, which is your team page. But because we're not, we don't have that. But it functions the exact same as the personal page. But in this case, we're just going to work with the personal page, not the team page. So one of the main things that people are going to do when they're in this area is enter a new gift. So this is, we've talked about in past videos, offline gifts. This is where these would go in. So we could we'll click over here now, and we'll pretend that we're going to make a donation. So this is as if I was out, or your user was out canvassing, or a family member or friend gave them some money via cash or check or whatnot. This is where they could put this information in. So we will go ahead and we'll put this in, and we'll just take a minute to fill that out, and I'll show you the process. So we'll just say that it's going to be a cash donation, but just note that if it's a check donation, we can enter the check number in. If it's a credit card donation, you're actually given the option to put the credit card donation in here. If the credit card information is put in, it will be processed automatically, and it will automatically become a confirmed gift. Even though it's an offline gift, it's considered a confirmed gift because it comes in by credit card. There is also a pay later feature, but the majority of the information put in this area is either cash or check. From there, you can go add or save and add another. So whenever you do this, whenever you add a new gift, it brings you to the progress tab, where you can actually check on the progress of your event. So in this case, you can see that that we've raised $10, what our goal is, what the percentage of our goal is. If we wanted to pull a report of the donations that we've been receiving, we could do that too. So we can download that, or we can look in this list and see a list of all of our donations. So this will show credit card donations that have been made by donors, as well as information that we're putting in through this back end. So it's really managing all parts of that of the hikers donation experience or fundraising experience. You can also click at this particular point to enter a new gift, or you can click off onto one of these other tabs and do something else. So if you click back to the home page, there are a few different things that you can do here. So you can change your team membership if you wanted to from here. You can change your display name. You can update your question responses that you answered as part of your registration. You can edit your personal page. You can view your progress, or you can add contacts, that kinds of stuff. You can also do these things in all these other areas. The second major thing that people are going to come in here and do is send emails out from the Participant Center. So when they click over onto this email tab, we have a couple of samples of emails to get people started with. So if they're looking for a solicitation, so that's to solicit donations, they can just click here and then click that they're doing a donation appeal. If you're a team captain, you'll have a fourth option here, which is to recruit team members. But because, again, we're not a part of a team, we don't have that. So this donation appeal email we would want to send out. So we'll just choose this. We could choose other, which is a blank email, or we could also choose thank you, which is to thank your donors. But in this case, we'll go ahead and we'll send the donation appeal. So as I said, when they choose the please support me email, as well as the other emails, we have populated some messages in here already. These can be customized by the user, or they can be deleted and started again. It really doesn't matter. They can also click this option here, which is to send a personalized greeting. So whoever their contact is, they can it'll put dear so and so and whatnot. So that's something that they can do, or they don't have to. It's totally up to the user at this point. They can also change the font and do some fancy type things in here. So it's really up to the user to make what they want of this particular email. They can preview it. They can save it as a template if they create one that they want to use over and over again, or they can save it as a draft and come back later. But if they're happy with that, they can just hit next and go on to the next step. So in this step, your user can choose who they want to send the email to. So they can send the email to someone who may already be in their email list. They can add a contact, or they can import contacts. So if they're adding a contact, all they need to do is just click this button. They can add in the information that they want, and from there, click the add button. And it now shows up into their list. So whenever it's checked, this means that this is who's going to be receiving this particular email. So from there, if they're happy with that, they can go on to the next step just by scrolling down and going next. If the user wanted to import their contact list from their email address, they could do that as well just by clicking on that button. They can choose whatever their email server is, or they can upload a CSV file, which is what you would do if you use Hotmail or Outlook, which is something different than Yahoo or Gmail. So anything different than Yahoo or Gmail, it will need to be a CSV file, which is something that they can export from their email file and into. They can also do this if they have a Yahoo or a Gmail account, because sometimes some users, particularly if they're behind a firewall or a network or something like that doesn't allow these imports, it won't allow these two functions to work. But in all of these email servers, they can export a CSV file and upload it this way, and that will work. So they would just click on the email server that they have, the email option that they want to upload, and click next and go through the next steps. So from there, if they're doing this, they're asked to log into their email account, which is just as simple as that. And whenever it's done, it's going to say that the email contacts have been retrieved, and they would just need to click next. So it's going to say import all of the contacts or some of the contacts. They could go ahead and choose whichever one it was that they wanted and hit next. In this case, I'm going to go cancel because I don't actually want to import my whole list at this particular time. But that's how I would do it if I wanted to. From there, after I imported all of those lists, they would show up here in this available contacts list, and I could select who it was that I wanted to receive my emails. So when the recipient list is populated the way the user wants it to be, the way the hiker wants it to be, all they need to do is just click next. They're given a preview of their email where they can read it over, and they can click send. So when they click send, they're going to see that their recent activity is updated. They can also go up here to the email tab again, and they can look at their sent emails. And from here, they'll be able to get a little bit of an idea of what emails have gone out. And they can also click on the contacts module here, where they'll be able to see how many emails were sent, whether they were opened, how many times that person visited their page, and whether there was a donation made by that particular person. So also, if a donation came in and they were required, if the user had not yet sent out a thank you email, they would be reminded with a little notification here that they should send out a thank you email. So other than just checking up on the process of your emails, they can continue to do that, sending emails out over and over again, and everything's just automatic. But they really should be coming back in here quite frequently and just sort of checking out this process to see what's happening with all their emails. So the next thing that they can do in this area is update their personal page or their team page, depending on whether they were a team captain or not. So one of the things that you can do when you come into this area is change the title. So instead of saying welcome to my personal page, you could say welcome to Mia's page, or whatever your title wanted to be, or just your name. You could update your text here. You could change your photo or video, or you can even update your URL. So if you want to have a specific URL that's custom to you, you can type that in there. You can make it public or private, however you'd like. Just save that. So now the next time you want to route someone to your page, if you've changed your URL, there it is right there. You can see that, and you can copy and paste it and send it to your friends. You can also do a preview of your personal page. Or you can go down here to components. You can select whether you want the thermometer on your page, the fundraising honor roll on the page, or you can even enable a personal blog if you'd like to put a blog onto your page. Also, as I already mentioned, you can put a photo in here that's different from the one that you may have uploaded in or the default upload. And do all sorts of cool things back here. So you can also take a look when you're done just to see what your page looks like. You can also come on here if you wanted to make a donation to yourself. In this way, it is entirely possible to do that as well. So this is what the user's page looks like when it's completely filled out, and this is also something that you can help the user with in the back end if they need some help updating or adding any of these pieces of information. If you need more help with how to do that, you should really watch the video on how to customize or how to manage your event rather, and we go over that quite in detail on that particular video. But this basically ends this video here, this part of the video here, the part where we're looking at the participant center. I'm going to now switch over, and we're going to look at the site from the perspective of a donor. So when a user comes onto your page to make a donation, they can do this in several ways, but one of the ways they can do is go to this tab here, the drop down. They can select whether they want to donate to a participant, donate to a team, or make a general donation to the event. They can also scroll down here, select this button here, in which case they're routed to a search function where they can find the participant that they want to donate to. Or they can also search for the participant here, search for the team here, or make a general gift to your event as a whole here. So there's lots of different ways in which they can make a donation, but really the process is the same. Once they figure out, or once they go to any of these areas, they're going to be able to make the donation in the same process. So for example, I'm just going to click on the donate button here. And I'm taken into this area here where I can do a search for a participant, or I can do a search for a team. So if I knew that I wanted to make a donation to our newly registered person, Mia, I could type in Mia's name here. I could do a search. I can see Mia comes up in the list here. I would just click on her name there, and I would hit the Donate Now button. From there, I'm routed into this particular page where I can go through, fill out this information, and enter in my credit card information and hit next. And my credit card will be processed at that point, and the donation will be complete. So when a donation is made with a credit card online in this way, this is what in the back end of the system is called an online donation. So when they're in the participant center, the way we saw before, those are all called offline donations, but this way here is called an online donation. And as soon as this donation is made, your tax receipts are issued. So at this particular point, once they click next and finish the process of having their credit card processed, the donation is complete. They're issued a tax receipt with an email with their tax receipt in it, and that's all that they need to do. So again, there's lots of different ways that they can make a donation. If they were to come here, if they wanted to search for a team instead, they could come in here and type in the team name. So it's the same process that we've really seen before. Just type in what they know and do a search. So we know that it's Amanda and Friends that we want to make the donation to, so we could just click on that. We could hit the Donate Now button and go forward. It would take you into the same place that we already just saw. Or you can go back home to the home page and make a general gift, which would just due to the organization, it just takes you straight into the donation form like we've seen before, and you would be able to process the credit card right away. So in a nutshell, that's how your donors will make their donations. So there's lots of different ways in which they can find out the person that they want to make the donation to. It's relatively easy, and the process is automatic from your perspective in terms of issuing tax receipts. Just to keep in mind, though, that sometimes for some reason people don't get those tax receipts, whether they go into their junk mail folders or sometimes it's flagged as spam because of their network, or there's different issues. So if that's the case, you may need to go into the back end and reissue a tax receipt. You can find out how to do that by watching the video that's how to manage your event. We go through that in great detail on there, and sometimes you may even need to print a receipt and mail it to them. It really is sometimes subjective depending on their email servers, but it is rare that happens. So that in a nutshell is how your users, your donors, and your hikers would use this site, and hopefully this video gives you a bit of a better understanding of that, so that when people call and have questions for you, you can help to walk them through it. My best recommendation is go on there, play around yourself, make yourself a registration, and you can always delete that in the back end later. But go in and really figure out this system yourself, because that's the best way that you're going to be able to help your donors and your hikers. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope you review the other videos as well, and I hope your hike is extremely successful.